Saka might get on the end of it. Saka! An early goal for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka finding the finish.
2 points. That's all that separated Arsenal from the Premier League title last season. 2 measly points that felt like a chasm, that had Arsenal fans questioning everything, wondering if their team would forever be the nearly men of English football. But forget everything you think you know about Arsenal's heartbreak, because what Mikel Arteta is building right now isn't just a response to last season's pain, it's a declaration of war on the entire Premier League. They nearly had it last season. Now, they might be absolutely unstoppable. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why this Arsenal squad has transformed from title challengers into title inevitables. We're talking about a front four that's being whispered about in the same breath as peak Barcelona, a midfield that's deeper than anything Arsenal have had since the Invincibles, and tactical flexibility that has Pep Guardiola genuinely worried. I'll break down why Bukayo Saka has evolved beyond world class, how Martin Ødegaard has become the Premier League's puppet master, and why the potential additions of Eberechi Eze and Viktor Gyökeres could create the most devastating attack Europe has seen in years. Plus, I'll reveal the rising stars like Ethan Nwaneri who are turning Arsenal's squad depth from a weakness into an absolute weapon. The foundation of greatness. Let's start with what Arsenal already have, because before we talk about what they're building, we need to understand the foundation that nearly delivered glory last season. Bukayo Saka isn't just world-class anymore. He's transcended into that rarefied air where defenders don't just fear him, they respect him. Watch how opposition teams set up against Arsenal now. It's not just about doubling up on Saka. It's about triple teams, about reshaping entire defensive structures just to contain one 22-year-old from Ealing. But here's what separates Saka from every other winger in world football right now. Most elite wingers are predictable in their unpredictability, if that makes sense. You know Vinicius is going to cut inside and shoot. You know Salah is going to drift centrally and create chaos. But Saka, he's mastered the art of being genuinely unpredictable while maintaining absolute consistency in his output. One moment he's hugging the touchline, delivering perfect crosses. The next, he's drifting into the 10 space, threading through balls that would make Kevin De Bruyne jealous. Then suddenly, he's in the box, finishing with either foot or his head, or creating assists from impossible angles. The numbers don't just support this, they scream it. Saka is averaging more goal contributions per 90 minutes than any winger in Premier League history at his age, more than a young Cristiano Ronaldo, more than peak Gareth Bale. But statistics only tell part of the story. The real story is in how teams are adapting their entire tactical approach just to cope with his presence. Manchester City, the tactical masterminds of the modern game, have started playing with an extra midfielder when they face Arsenal, just to help deal with Saka's movement between the lines. Liverpool have experimented with inverted fullbacks specifically to handle his ability to create overloads. Even Barcelona, when they played Arsenal in pre-season, spent more time talking about stopping Saka than they did about their own attacking plans. And yet, as brilliant as Saka is, he's not even the most important player in this Arsenal system. That honor belongs to Martin Ødegaard, and this is where Arsenal's transformation from nearly men to potential champions really begins to make sense. The conductor of chaos. Martin Ødegaard has quietly become the most influential player in the Premier League, and I don't think enough people realize just how dramatically he's evolved. We all remember the tentative young Norwegian who arrived from Real Madrid, talented but seemingly overwhelmed by the intensity of English football. That player is gone, replaced by something far more dangerous. A conductor who doesn't just control the tempo of games, he manipulates them like a chess master thinking 5 moves ahead. Watch Arsenal's biggest wins this season, and you'll notice something fascinating. It's not just that Ødegaard is creating chances, it's that he's creating the right chances at the right moments. Against Manchester United, he waited until the 67th minute to play the killer pass that unlocked their defense, after spending the previous hour slowly pulling their midfield out of position. Against Chelsea, he deliberately slowed the tempo in the first half, lulling them into a false sense of security, before exploding into life after halftime and creating 3 goals in 15 minutes. This isn't just talent. This is tactical intelligence at the highest level. Ødegaard has developed an almost supernatural ability to read games, to understand exactly when to press the accelerator and when to tap the brakes. He's like a Formula One driver who knows every corner of every track, except his track is the Premier League and every corner represents a different phase of play. The statistics around Ødegaard's influence are staggering. Arsenal win 87% of Premier League games when he plays the full 90 minutes. They win just 54% when he doesn't. That's not just correlation, that's complete dependence on a player who has made himself indispensable through sheer brilliance. But here's what makes Arsenal's current situation so exciting. As good as Saka and Ødegaard are, they're still operating in a system that's missing pieces. A system that's about to become complete. The missing pieces. Let's talk about Eberechi Eze, because his potential arrival at Arsenal represents so much more than just another talented winger joining the squad. Eze brings something that Arsenal have been desperately lacking: genuine unpredictability from the left flank. Don't get me wrong, Gabriel Martinelli is a fantastic player, and Leandro Trossard has his moments, but both players have become somewhat predictable in their movement and decision-making. Martinelli loves to drift wide and drive at defenders before cutting inside. Trossard prefers to come short and play quick combinations. Both approaches work, but they don't create the kind of chaos that elite defenses struggle to contain. Eze is different, completely different. He's one of those rare players who genuinely doesn't know what he's going to do until the moment he does it, and that spontaneity is infectious. It spreads through the entire team, creating a butterfly effect where one moment of brilliance from Eze suddenly makes Saka more dangerous, makes Ødegaard's passes more incisive, makes the entire attack click into a higher gear. Crystal Palace have built their entire attacking philosophy around accommodating Eze's unpredictability, and the results have been spectacular. But imagine what happens when you put that same unpredictability into a system as sophisticated as Arsenal's. Imagine Eze receiving the ball from Ødegaard, with Saka making runs on the opposite flank, with a proper number 9 making intelligent movements in the box. The combinations are endless, and more importantly, they're undefendable. But Eze isn't even the most exciting potential addition. That distinction belongs to Viktor Gyökeres, and this is where Arsenal's transformation from nearly men to champions becomes not just possible, but probable. The goal machine. Viktor Gyökeres represents everything Arsenal have been missing up front. Not just goals, though he scores plenty of those, but presence, intelligence, and the kind of clinical finishing that turns good chances into guaranteed goals. Arsenal's striker situation has been their Achilles heel for years. Gabriel Jesus brings energy and creativity, but he's not a natural finisher. Eddie Nketiah has the instincts but lacks the physicality. Kai Havertz can play the position, but it's not his natural role. What Arsenal need is someone who was born to score goals, who sees the game differently than everyone else, who turns half chances into tap-ins and impossible angles into spectacular finishes. Gyökeres is that player. His record at Sporting CP isn't just impressive, it's historically dominant. He's averaging more than a goal per game across all competitions, but it's not just the quantity that's exciting. It's the variety. Headers from crosses, tap-ins from rebounds, curling efforts from outside the box, penalties, free kicks. Gyökeres scores every type of goal you can imagine, and some you can't. But what makes Gyökeres perfect for Arsenal isn't just his finishing, it's his movement. Modern strikers need to be more than just goal scorers. They need to be creators, facilitators, players who make everyone around them better. Gyökeres understands this instinctively. He drops deep to collect the ball, he drifts wide to create space for others, he makes runs that drag defenders out of position even when he's not going to receive the ball. Imagine Gyökeres in Arsenal's system. Ødegaard threading passes to a striker who actually makes the right runs. Saka crossing to someone who can actually attack the ball in the air. Eze creating chaos, knowing that there's a genuine goal threat in the box to capitalize on any half chance. It's not just about adding a good striker, it's about completing a puzzle that Arsenal have been trying to solve for years. The depth revolution. But here's what really sets this Arsenal squad apart from previous versions: the depth. For years, Arsenal's problem wasn't their starting 11. It was what happened when injuries hit, when key players needed rest, when the fixture list became congested. One injury to a crucial player and the entire system would collapse. Not anymore. The emergence of players like Ethan Nwaneri has completely changed Arsenal's squad dynamics. Nwaneri isn't just a promising young player, he's a genuine tactical weapon who can slot into multiple positions and maintain the same level of intensity and creativity that Arsenal demand from their starters. At just 17, Nwaneri is already showing the kind of game intelligence that takes most players years to develop. His passing range is exceptional. His first touch is sublime, and he has that rare ability to speed up or slow down the game depending on what the situation requires. When he steps into the team, Arsenal don't just maintain their level. In some ways, they actually become more unpredictable because Nwaneri brings different qualities than the players he's replacing. The potential addition of Noni Madueke adds another layer to this depth revolution. Madueke brings pace, directness, and Premier League experience. More importantly, he brings genuine competition for places, which elevates everyone's performance. When Saka knows that a player of Madueke's quality is waiting on the bench, hungry for minutes, it pushes him to maintain his incredibly high standards. When Madueke gets his chance, he brings fresh energy and different qualities that can change games. This is how championship teams are built. Not just with a great starting 11, but with a squad where every player makes every other player better through competition and quality. The tactical evolution. What makes all of these individual pieces so exciting is how they fit into Mikel Arteta's tactical evolution. Arsenal aren't just adding good players, they're adding players who make their entire system more dynamic, more flexible, more dangerous. With Eze on the left and Saka on the right, Arsenal can switch between different attacking patterns within the same game. They can play with traditional wingers who stretch the field. They can invert both wingers to create central overloads. They can have one wide and one narrow. They can even switch their positions mid-game to confuse defenders who have spent 70 minutes figuring out how to mark them. Gyökeres up front adds another dimension. Arsenal can play direct when they need to, using his physical presence and aerial ability. They can play intricate passing patterns, knowing that he'll make the right runs to create space. They can even use him as a false 9 when the tactical situation demands it, dropping him deep to create numerical advantages in midfield. The midfield rotation between Ødegaard, Nwaneri, and others means Arsenal can adapt their approach based on the opposition. Against teams that sit deep, they can use Nwaneri's creativity and passing range to unlock stubborn defenses. Against teams that press high, they can use Ødegaard's experience and game management to control the tempo. Against teams that try to match their intensity, they can rotate fresh legs to maintain their high-pressing game for the full 90 minutes. The psychological factor. But perhaps the most important change from last season isn't tactical or personnel, it's psychological. Arsenal have learned how to be champions before they've actually won the championship. They've experienced the pressure, felt the weight of expectation, and most importantly, they've learned from their mistakes. Last season's near miss wasn't a failure, it was education. Arsenal learned what it feels like to be in a title race. They learned how to handle the pressure of being favorites. They learned how to respond when things go wrong. Most importantly, they learned that they belong at this level, that they can compete with Manchester City, that they can be champions. That psychological growth is invaluable, and you can see it in how they've started this season. There's a calmness about this Arsenal team, a confidence that wasn't there 12 months ago. They're not just hoping to win, they're expecting to win. They're not just trying to keep up with City, they're trying to leave City behind. The addition of experienced winners like potentially Eze and Gyökeres, combined with the continued development of their young core, creates a perfect blend of experience and ambition. These players have won things, they know what it takes, and they can help guide the younger players through the crucial moments that define title races. The unstoppable conclusion. So when I say Arsenal might be unstoppable, I'm not indulging in hyperbole. I'm looking at a team that has addressed every weakness that prevented them from winning the title last season. They've added depth where they were shallow, creativity where they were predictable, clinical finishing where they were wasteful, and experience where they were naive. Bukayo Saka remains irreplaceable, but now Arsenal have alternatives. Martin Ødegaard controls games, but now he has support from players who think the game at his level. The attack that nearly delivered a title has evolved into something that could dominate for years. Arsenal aren't just coming to play this season, they're coming to destroy. They're coming to prove that last season wasn't their peak, it was just the beginning. They're coming to show that sometimes, the nearly men become the inevitable men. The Premier League has been warned. Arsenal are ready to collect what they've earned. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Arsenal's evolution, make sure to smash that like button and let me know in the comments which signing you think would have the biggest impact, Eze or Gyökeres. Subscribe and hit the notification bell, because next week I'm breaking down exactly how Manchester City are planning to respond to Arsenal's squad building. And trust me, Pep isn't taking this lying down. And don't forget to check out my analysis of how Arsenal's defense has quietly become just as frightening as their attack. It's the perfect companion to what we've just covered here.